They may wear costumes, but it isn't Halloween. They're real-life superheroes.
Me and Hit Girl were training every day. And there were more and more people joining us every night.
Colonel Stars and Stripes reporting for duty.
Oh, hell, here we go. Another movie making these nerds think they can go out and fight crime in costume.
Hey, man, that's actually kind of good. It cuts down on the nerds.
It thins the herd, the nerd herd.
You are a self-hating nerd.
I know.
I know. I was about to say,
man,
what is this?
You're Uncle Tom of a nerd.
No, that's bullshit.
Uncle Nerd.
I'm like, wait a minute. No, I was going to say I'm like the brony that hates the cloppers, but never mind. I don't like that at all. But
even worse.
Scratch that.
And you know what, man? It don't matter because in real life, when these people go out and fight crime in costumes, you know what they really end up doing? They end up feeding homeless people.
Yeah.
They get bored. They just end up feeding homeless people.
I thought you were going to say they feed themselves.
Yeah, they do. Got some extra baggage left over. And even then, that don't ever work out too good for them because you always get that one homeless person like, get the fuck off me, man. Get your crazy looking ass off me.
It's a general good rule of thumb, unless you actually have superpowers that make you godlike, don't try to be a superhero.
No.
I don't care how many push-ups you can do. I don't care how much of a ninja you think you are. You're going to die.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, man. Once that Phoenix Jones documentary comes out, you're going to see a whole flood of them. You just wait.
Yeah.
Phoenix Jones, they're still trying to put out that documentary. I'm going to be an old man before that shit sees the light of day.
It'll happen posthumously.
Yeah.
After he gets stabbed in the alleyway.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for that epic ending.
Yeah.
I think Phoenix Jones kicked one guy in the face, and now thinks he's Batman.
he actually maced a bunch of dancers. Like they would like dance in the street. He thought it was a real riot. And he maced all these people.
But that's a crime now?
Well, it wasn't, but it was. Yeah, the crime was what he committed.
Yeah,
and they made him unmask on TV.
You are
That's right.
you are unstable if you put on a costume and you go out and you beat people up you think are criminals. There's no other way. I love superheroes,
Me
but
too.
I'm not a blithering idiot.
Right.
I just love that they made Phoenix Jones take off his mask, and you know what? Nobody still gave a shit.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, did you?
some
Oh,
guy.
The crazy black guy.
It was
All
like-
right.
it's like you were all disappointed. I thought it was going to be Bill Gates.
I know. And you know,
Right.
and it was funny because nobody gave a shit about him. They didn't wonder about him being a superhero. They were saying, damn, you got that hot top fade under that mask like that. You remember that shit? That kid and play hair?
Yeah, that was his real superpower, to keep haircuts from the 90s alive and well.
Yeah. And he was able to fit that much hair under a hood. That was his power right there.
I mean, when he took the mask off, he had to push a button and a bunch of mist sprayed out.
Afro sheen.
Yeah, that device that Darth Vader used.
Yeah. You know, man, it's for the movies. It's made for the movies. And even in Kick-Ass 2, I don't think that they were able to pass off convincingly that people can go out and fight crime in masks. I mean, it kind of went against everything that they were trying to parody.
Well, it's weird because like on the surface, it seems like it's a meta film, or like much like the first one, about like what would happen if real life people decided to fight crime. But ultimately, it's even more comic booky than the comic book movies it's supposed to be satirizing.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
Well, I don't know. With the first one, like, I know you guys all like the first one. I didn't, because I was like, all right, it starts out faithful to the comic of like showing like, hey, this is what it would be like if real people went out to fight crime. And then later it just kind of turned into a parody of Spider-Man. And I was like,
Well, the thing with the first one is that I thought that really, the thing that really worked, the thing that really sold that movie, at least for me, was the relationship between Chloe Morton and Nicolas Cage. Those two characters of Hit Girl and Big Daddy. Yeah, I thought they were the shining thing about that movie, unlike the lead, who's Kick-Ass, where I'm like, wow, I can't remember.
Aaron Johnson.
Aaron Johnson, like, it made me go back and look at that film and just realize how pointless that character is in a way, especially watching this one, where Aaron Johnson's the least interesting guy at all in this film, especially just having absolutely no charisma or screen presence whatsoever.
Oh, you know what? It's funny that you should mention that, because in this second movie, he realizes that this sounds like a perfect time to tell you about the plot.
Yeah.
No, he kind of realizes that as Kick-Ass, he got a little notoriety in the first movie, but then he starts getting his ass beat a little bit more, and he's like, shit, you know what? I really don't want to give up being Kick-Ass, but I got to learn how to kick ass.
Right.
So he goes to the person that really does know how to fight crime and do it effectively. he goes to Hit Girl, played by Chloe Grace Moretz, and he's saying, look, I want to get back into the action, but I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You know, you do. Teach me how to be a superhero. In fact, we can be a team. We can be like Batman and Robin.
I want to team up, like Batman and Robin.
Nobody wants to be Robin.
What's wrong with Robin? Would you like Big Daddy's Robin?
Okay, Robin wishes he was me.
What I'm trying to say is we should be partners. You and me like the dynamic duo.
I'm in the NFL, Dave. You play Pee-wee.
So train me. I want to walk the walk. You're the closest thing I know to a real superhero. Aren't you tired of being on your own? Don't you want to know someone's there for you? Someone who's got your back?
They've already inspired a group of people. They've already
It's gone viral.
Yeah, it's gone viral. They already got a group of ordinary citizens who get in costumes. They do patrol. They're still, just like I said, feeding homeless people. They're still not doing a whole lot of stuff out there. They're just playing games. But when we have, what was the guy's name from the last one? What's that actor's name?
Christopher Mintz-Plasse.
Yeah.
McLovin.
McLovin. I was trying to avoid calling him that.
Man, that's what everybody calls him.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to keep saying McLovin. You're right.
He is McLovin the way what's his name is Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
See how I called him what's his name? Because he ain't got a name no more.
Yeah.
Even IMDb gave up and just called him McLovin.
McLovin, yeah. Well, you got McLovin out there who was the Red Mist in the last movie. We saw how things happen. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but things turned out for him not so great, and it was all because of Kick-Ass. And he says, you know what, like a true villain, I vowed to get revenge on Kick-Ass, and therefore he becomes a supervillain, like the world's first costume supervillain, the motherfucker. And it's only then when he goes out and starts really doing bad things. I mean, he's actually killing people and destroying stuff and causing mayhem, that these heroes who are playing games, they got to be real heroes now. They got to come together and try to stop him. I'll tell you what I like about this movie better than I like the first one. I think this movie has a lot of heart. I actually think it's more emotional. It's not just relishing in violence this time. It's just that the movie has so many different tones that it's trying to fit together. It's a teen comedy. It's a teen sex comedy. It's a kids after school special at one point.
It's a trauma film at one point.
It's a trauma film. Yeah, it's a violent action movie. It goes between trying to be really dark to trying to be lighthearted and goofy. And while some parts of that I can appreciate, there's other parts that I just don't think worked that well together.
It's because this is an adaptation of not just Kick-Ass 2, but also the Hit Girl miniseries. Because all that stuff where it flashes to Mindy and the trouble she's having at school, that's all from a separate Hit Girl series that they did. And I went back and even reread those this morning, and it took like an hour and 20 minutes to reread, both series. But it's very faithful. I was like, wow, they really are including almost everything and not even straying from the book that much. Probably a lot of problems problems you had with it were there on the page. I don't know what else they could have done, but you are right in that the tone that it tries to take. And I can see trying to go all right, we don't want it to be just one thing all the way through, but in the end, it does feel like it's too many things at once.
Yeah, it wants to be way too much to too many people. This type of story, what they're trying to do, whereas Kick-Ass was much more simple what it was going after. Here, they want all these different characters to have all these different arcs. There's so many characters in this fucking film. There's so many, and we know just tiny bits about most of them. That there are points that, like you said, Corey, that you thought that the violence was just for violence sake in the first one. I'm like, I found the violence much uglier in this film than I did in the first one. Because in the first one, it was somebody learning the hard way that, hey man, this whole violence gig, it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It's tough and you're going to get hurt really bad. And here we get to see go through that again, pretty much, except it's just much more brutal, I thought, in the delivery of it in a lot of ways and not in a fun way. I'm actually getting bored of violence watching this movie and just kind of getting turned off by the whole experience. It felt like they were more salivating in it.
You thought it was more violent than the first one?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, most definitely.
I think it seemed
more
gory.
Really?
I really didn't. I didn't get that sense at all. I think that's because a lot of the action and stuff seemed very kind of cliche, what you see from typical superhero movies. I mean, a lot of these fight scenes, I was like, yeah, these look like fight scenes like from Watchmen, just how they're choreographed, to where there weren't anything all that special. And seeing somebody on the top of a moving vehicle once again, I was like, oh, okay. I thought Wolverine did it all right.
Wolverine did it better.
Yeah, but this one was like, all right. It does kind of throw the whole reality thing out the window at that point. But my biggest problem was not only did it feel just clunky, it seemed like they were really trying to get that same feel that they did in the first one, where the original director, Matt Vaughn, seemed to juggle all those things the right way, at least for me. This one, it really seemed like they were still trying to keep that tone, but it just wasn't melding well. We got so many different stories going on. One is the team, the Justice League team of these superheroes. The other is Hit Girl trying to realize, like, who are they? Are they actually Hit Girl, or are they this little innocent 15-year-old
You know
girl?
what? I like that story with Hit Girl, though.
Well, I was about to say, that was the only story that had any kind of meat and soul to it.
It did.
As opposed to everything else. That was the story I wish they would have stuck with.
Even when inevitably at the point there's got to be a tragic death of a character, I felt nothing at all. And the film wanted you to feel something, and there was nothing to feel.
You know,
like, these aren't real, don't feel real at all. Whereas her story, as dumb as it is at times, and it's really dumb at points and mishandled, it's 100 times more interesting than all the rest of the shit going on.
I know that thing with the tragic death you're talking about. I don't know. I didn't think I was going to feel anything because I'd already read it in the comic. And so I knew what was coming. And I was like, well, good. I won't be having that weird feeling. And yet when it happened, I kind of did.
A Hit Girl, I really like her being torn. Her father's dead. Her new dad is black. You know what I mean? Morris Chestnut, you know.
So many problems to deal with.
I know. I mean, you know, she's probably catching flack for that. but she's just trying to fit in at school. And there's this whole thing of, I only know one thing, all right? My father fucked my mind up, okay? And now you're trying to make me go to slumber parties and trying to make me hang out with the biggest bitches at school. And I really like that part of the story. I really love Jim Carrey in the movie, and I wish that I'd seen more of him. What was Jim Carrey's character in the movie? America Man or something?
Like General
Stars and Stripes?
Yeah, Stars. Well, it was Colonel Stars and Stripes. He was another kind of just like standout. I was like, when the movie lost Nicolas Cage and they brought in Jim Carrey, it's almost like he filled in that void.
Right.
But the sad thing is that, yeah, you don't get enough of him.
And even when he is like, a bigger part of the film, they don't give him enough to do anyway. I mean, they've got an interesting amount of latex makeup on him where he looks just different enough anyway from normal Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
But what impressed me about the part is the way Carrey just buried all his regular ticks.
He really did.
He just like, they're not him. There. Yeah, you forget that it's him completely, which usually, even if you see him play a very different type of role, those ticks always rise to the surface. Here, he really is a completely different character. And it's a shame that he was talking so much shit about this film, considering he was probably one of the best things.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. I think he pulled an Eddie Murphy, where you put enough shit on his face, he just hides underneath it and doesn't feel the need to be Jim Carrey. If we didn't know Jim Carrey was in the movie, people would be looking at it and saying, that guy looks familiar. He looks like some guy I know. And people wouldn't even be thinking an actor. They'd be like, man, that looks like a friend of mine.
It's amazing when you throw so much shit on somebody's face and you actually see their real talent for once, come through.
I like Jim.
But speaking of real talent, though, I have to admit, McLovin as the motherfucker, every time he was on screen, I wanted more and more, but they were just giving me little snippets throughout the whole movie. And I was like, man, that's something else. You're kind of fumbling the ball with just his origins, his re-origins, I guess.
I don't know about that, man.
I was really digging it.
Whenever he, like, here's the thing, and I don't think the problem is with him. There were moments when the movie just thought it was being more clever than it really was. And they really tried to emphasize that too. When McLovin comes in, damn, I'm sorry for calling him McLovin so much. when he would come in, there's that one scene when he decides to become the villain. He says, "I will call myself." He looks at the camera, the motherfucker. Yeah. And we just waiting, like, okay, what you want, man? Want some applause or something?
That's the thing. It's like that in the book, and when I read that, even in the comic, I felt that same kind of thud, like. For real, man. I mean, this the writer who writes this, Mark Millar. He's really good at setting things up and had given it like a dangerous edge and gives you like that Tarantino feeling, like, man, you took me out of my comfort zone. But when he gets to the third issue of any book, it starts to go like, okay, now he's going for just nothing but shock value.
Yeah. It's just not that well written of a character, and he's the one who gets the most monologues. I mean, if anybody has the most lines in this movie, it's probably him. He just goes on and on and on with some truly terribly written dialogue and plot elements. And I was like, there are points I'm just like, please move on. This is like watching somebody who's really talented in the worst movie of their life and think it's the greatest, and you're just embarrassed for them.
I don't know. I didn't feel to that degree. Matter of fact, I mean, just you talking now, I remember of something I really like that's an element in this as far as plot elements where he's like, yeah, I want you to get some guys to train me so I can fight. And then he get his ass kicked. He's like, you know what? I'm rich. I'm just pay some people to fight for me.
And right there, that to me at least was the core of that character. He's thinking he's turned into this big dog, yet he's still the little idiot. And I was just relishing every moment he was on screen
I only found
doing
him
that.
funny when he was playing off of John Leguizamo.
Man, I thought they were a great team together.
He's another guy who's not in this film for long enough or enough of him because his bits are funny when they're bounced off John Leguizamo playing kind of the straight guy versus him. But when there's no straight guy, it's just not funny. It's irritating.
It's funny because it sounds like everything we're saying, like a big problem with this movie is like there's a lot of great little pieces or actors you like, and none of them are on long enough.
It's fun, like the movie.
I really like Clark Duke, but he's not. He doesn't get a big role.
The movie seems to come out and say, "Hey, you like this person? Too bad." You know, like the movie's a super villain.
But do you know, out of all the discussion that we're having right now, the one person who we're not talking about or bringing up at all is the guy who's playing Kick-Ass.
I've never liked that actor,
and that's the thing. I mean, I don't know if it's just him or they didn't give him enough to do because his storyline honestly felt like a retread of the first movie.
You're supposed to believe, you can tell earlier, regardless of shirt on or not, that this guy has buffed out like a motherfucker.
Of course.
They try to act like he's just some, Charles Atlas nerd.
Well, shit, he's 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
And looks like a 30-year-old going to high school.
And then later on, he's doing like one-handed pull-ups.
I know.
Shit, and you're like, dude, what the fuck?
It's like when he's in that kick-ass costume, he looks like Gumby on steroids. You know, like goddamn. It's like I thought he was supposed to be a weakling, And I will say this though, you say he looks like he's 30 years old. I really did buy that he was a high school student. In fact, when I saw him, one of the things I can credit this guy for is that I've seen him in movies where he's played an adult. I saw him in this, and I said, shit, he looks like he's back in high school to me.
But you know, he has the same kind of superpower as Phoenix Jones, getting all that fro
hair,
all that fro hair underneath
Jew-fro hair up in there.
Underneath that mask is. I was like, how does he do that? How come there's not big clumps of hair like just protruding out of that?
I know. Every time he pulls off that mask, there's a quick cut just so it can come back and his hair's all perfect. Because he would be the worst hat head ever. Right there.
That's the only thing that's kept Leon off the streets is that he can't put a mask over that afro here. If he could, he'd be out there fighting crime.
It keeps popping off every time he runs.
Actually, I gotta say, out of everybody in this room, it's you, co-host, I'm worried about.
What?
It's you that I feel like you would be the one to go out and try to really do this shit. I don't know why.
I would do my best to be like the motherfucker, but there's a good chance I would die.
I was going to say, he'd be like the motherfucker.
He would be like the
super villain.
Come on, bitch.
I am. Don't tell me your problems, man.
He's giving everyone like racist, like super villain names.
He's living in the wrong city. It ain't like we got a high crime rate.
Shit on the floor.
You'd ring doorbells and run. That's what you do.
Flaming bags of poop.
I'll be back. This director here, this Wadlow guy, Jeff Wadlow.
I thought Vaughn directed.
Oh, did he produce it?
No, Matthew Vaughn produced it.
Oh,
Jeff
okay.
Wadlow. Yeah, co-host Jeff Wadlow made one of your favorite movies, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did.
Which one?
You remember that movie? Don't act like you don't know.
Oh, jeez.
Never Back Down.
What? Never Back Down?
Never Back Down. You see, I told you. See how excited it is?
Are you
love it.
serious?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
No, I remember that you had to go see that movie by yourself one day.
I did. Oh, I did. Don't bring back those horrible origins of my supervillainy.
Your buddy's back. And you should know. Now, you told me how the direction of that movie was just kind of flat. It felt like one of those. It felt like one of those because the movie is a fighting film, and you said this doesn't even feel like a fighting film from the 90s. This feels like a fighting film from the 80s.
Yeah. This film felt like you went back, looked at Kick-Ass to get that same aesthetic, same look of it. So it really does kind of feel like the guy didn't bring any of his own vision to this, I thought.
It's flat direction, man. That's what I felt like. I will say, though, I did like that car chase where Hit Girl's on top of the car and she's fighting. I did like that. I found that pretty cool.
I would have liked it had it not looked so fake.
Yeah.
And I understand, look, we know it's not real, it's stunts, but there's a certain level, it's like, guys, you got to try a little bit.
You know, there's an interesting thing about that. The look of it looked way better in the commercials.
It just looks like the lighting is flat.
Yeah.
It looks like very basic lighting. There's no real atmosphere in this. There's no real mood to it. It's just that's what I mean by flat, I guess. It just felt like they set 3 lights up and just lit that shit and that's it. I don't know, man. I know you guys liked the first Kick-Ass a lot.
Well, not Leon.
But I probably liked it. I liked it less than you guys, but more than Leon. I'm kind of in the middle here. It's just things I like about this movie more than I like in the first one, but it's just all over the place. It doesn't come together too well for me. In the ending of this, I thought, man, that is just really goofy right there. This is some West Side Story shit going on here.
Yeah, oddly for me, I was pretty bored through this whole film until the last, like the big battle, which is so back to kind of the feel of the original. I was like, okay, this is not over confusing it. It's just straight ahead. It's some fun action sequence stuff. I like the whole, we've got that feeling of the underdog striking back again thing that I like. I enjoyed it for what it was, but it was too little too late.
No, I'm messing with you. Everything I like, you don't like.
I think we know who the real supervillain in this movie is.
No, I get it. I think it's one of those movies where we all can sit up here and cherry pick things that we like easily. Everybody's going to have something different and whatnot. Just because this movie is that disjointed. Give it a fun rental.
A fun rental?
A fun rental.
We have to add a new category?
Yeah.
Can I do a fun summer bullshit?
Is there such a thing?
Don't go. It will be. You know what, Leon? You'll be the one to do it.
Corey, I feel like I've been waiting for you to come out with your rating because I feel like everything you're saying, I'm right there with you. And I even told you, sorry, it's like, I don't know how I feel about this. There's things in it I like. There's things I can clearly see are wrong. I like it. I have a much better feeling coming out of it with this one than I did with the first one. And it's damn faithful to the book, which, you know, it's almost like, well, you can't fault something for staying true to its source material, to a point. I don't feel like, oh, I want to see this again, but I found things to enjoy about it while I watched it. But it is a goddamn mess. I don't know about a fun rental, but I will say a high rental.
Okay. That's the same thing.
Is it? Then why didn't you just say that?
Yeah.
Because it's more fun to say fun.
Wow.
Fuck with you, this one.
Okay.
You know, the thing is, like, yeah, there's parts of this throughout that you're like, oh, that was fun. Carrie's character being a good example for me, where I was like really enjoying what they were doing with them, and then they just kind of ruined it. It's like, really? That's where you want to go with this? But the worst thing for me overall, I thought, was the humor. I just didn't think this movie was funny. In fact, I thought it was trying so hard to make just puerile and poop humor the biggest part of its jokes that I just lost interest completely by the halfway point.
Yeah.
In the comedy they're trying
Even I had to laugh at these poop jokes.
I'm going to give this a low rental.
Man,
all these rentals.
I know you guys.
All these choices.
You guys really screwed me up here.
What flavor honestly, of rental will you pick?
I'll say I will. I'm really shocked by it because I mean, starting off, I was like, wow, Corey loves this more than I do. Yet hearing your rating, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's not what I was going to give it at all. I'm actually going to give it a matinee because as much as, you know, they fumble the ball from time to time, there really are some great moments in this movie. And collectively, you know, when you're watching it, it really doesn't hit you till after, until you're walking out, you know, till you're just kind of piecing it together in your head. But the fact is that when I'm in a theater and it's actually hitting its notes like it should at times, I was really kind of digging it, especially the Hit Girl / Mean Girls movie that's kind of in there. That right there, I was like, there's your movie right there. That should have been the focus. That would have been way more original than what we kind of saw here. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a matinee. I still had a good time.
Did he not sound like bullshit when he was talking about it earlier?
He did.
No. You guys didn't hear. I could clearly hear that he liked the movie.
You ain't gotta be nice.
I feel like
thank you, Leon.
Like honestly, I was on that teetering on that low rental high matinee, and I'm like, I'm not sure where to go with it.
I'm mad about these kids now. They get to say ass when I never got to say it when I was a kid. I mean, you could you have an excuse now to go and say ass to your mother when you want to go see something. I never had that opportunity. If Kick Ass had come out, and Leon, I think you there with me.
Oh, yeah.
If it had come out in our time, we'd be like, hey mama, can I go see Kick Ass? I'll take that as a yip.
It's hilarious you say that because there was a picture going around of I think Kick Ass is playing some theater around the Bible Belt or something like that where they actually covered up the poster, piece of paper over the ass part. It just says Kick 2. Like, I can't wait for Kick 2 to come.
You know what they do? They put a donkey on the poster with a mask.
That would have been way better.
Promise me that you will never dress up in that outfit again.
My daddy made me promise I'd never stop defending this city. And that's exactly what I'm going to do.
We gotta make this right.
The anticipation's killing me.
What's the burning?
There's no room for punks in suits. Just real heroes who can really kick ass.
Who the hell are We're the good guys.
They're the dead guys. Franz, wieder. Oh, Jesus! Yeah, there's a dog on your butt.